Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then Wednesday I do these questions and then I post everything up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. Whoops, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are awesome. I've been getting tons of good feedback from people. They're online, so they're not in person. They're online, and they do chatting, which I think is great. So if you're unable to talk out loud, you can chat with your therapist, which I think is very helpful. All you got to do is go on, fill out some questions, and they'll place you with a licensed professional therapist, master's level or PhD level in your state or somewhere in the U.S. if you are outside of the U.S. and that particular state allows outside counseling. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Thank you so much. Also, if you guys are outside of an abusive relationship, you've gotten divorced, or you're getting divorced, you're away from them, Susanna Quintana at SusannaQuintana.com. She's amazing. She's a life coach, and she is able to help work through how to answer those emails or how not to answer those emails. Because remember, narcissists love to bait. And she has been there, done that. So check her out. Check out her book, You're Still That Girl. Susanna Quintana at Susanna Quintana. That's spelled Quintana. It's like Quintana. SusannaQuintana.com. She's awesome, and I love her. She's a good friend, and I like her. All right, let us dive into the questions, shall we? Hold on, let me move things around here. Okay. Chris, can you do a video on elder abuse? If elderly, vulnerable family member is being taken advantage of or taken care of by a NERC, how to go about reporting it? I've spoken my concerns to other family members, and all they say is, this is hard to hear. If I go about this after going no contact, I will be seen as the villain. This person has been fed the narcissist narratives for so long, I feel like my hands are tied. Well, here's the problem. If they're elderly, you can call Adult Protective Services and voice your concerns. And honestly, what I see a lot of narcissists do is financial abuse. So they'll, get their hooks into the, the elderly client or the elderly patient, and they'll start, oh, you need to put me as the executor. You need to put me as the, power of attorney. You need to do, and then they start screwing with the finances, and or they physically abuse, and or they emotionally abuse. So if you suspect any of that going on, make a call to Adult Protective Services. You may want to get an attorney, and you may want to demand a forensic evaluation of the bank accounts to see where the money is going. So that's often what narcissists will do, is they want to get their hooks into the older person, get on their bank accounts, do that, spend the money, crazy go nuts. You know how that goes. So yeah, Adult Protective Services, and you can do the complaint anonymously. You can just be like, look, this is a highly contentious family. I've gone no contact with them. I suspect this is going on. I would really appreciate a look into this to see if they're being abused. Here's the caveat. I have had one client do that. They contacted Adult Protective Services, vocalized their concerns, and then when Adult Protective Services got there, the grandparent was like, oh, no, everything's fine. No, nothing's going on. No, it's all good. No, I'm not being abused. So if the target of abuse is not willing to answer the questions honestly, then there's not much Adult Protective Services can do. And if Adult Protective Services were smart, which again, government agency, don't get me started, they would do the interviews away from each other so that the target of abuse isn't feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't say anything. The other thing too, you got to understand is that if this person is the parent of the abuser, they're not going to want to get them in trouble. Remember, there's that whole codependency thing going on, and there's that whole siding with the abuser thing going on, depending on how old the person is feeling, right? Because they're going back into their inner child. So all you can do is document and contact Adult Protective Services and or get an attorney and demand forensic financial evaluation of what's going on. That's really, unfortunately, there's not a lot of options, and especially if the target of abuse is minimizing and going, oh, no, it's not, no, there's none of that's going, oh, no, we're good, blah, 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 blah. There's not a lot you can do. So, I mean, do what you can, and that's all you can do. So, and don't beat yourself up, because remember, it's like I said, like with that one situation, the client went to Adult Protective Services, told them their concerns. Adult Protective Services were concerned enough that they came out and did an investigation, talked to the targets, reported target of abuse, talked to the people that were caretaking them, and the target of abuse lied and just said, oh no, everything's fine. Nope, they've got my permission. No, everything's good. So, there's only so much you can do. At that point, if they're not willing to help themselves, that's when you kind of got to go, we're done, and it's hard to watch, but yeah, that's basically that. I hope that answered the question. If you do have concerns, you can talk to, like I said, you could talk to the police, you could talk to Adult Protective Services, you could talk to an attorney, you can see what your options are, but they're limited, because in this country, it's like if you're an adult, nobody can force services on you, which is good in a way, but it's also bad in a way when somebody needs it. They don't have the mental capability to really understand those choices. And I think that's what happens with a lot of elder abuse cases, is that the elder is either the parent of the person who's abusing them or the grandparent of the person who's abusing them, and they don't want to get that person in trouble. And they're under the misguided belief or the mistaken belief that, oh, if I lie, they'll be okay, I'm going to keep them safe. Meanwhile, they're being abused. So, there's only so much you can do. I would honestly start with Adult Protective Services. If you're concerned enough, get an attorney. Ask for forensics on the financial if you think there's financial abuse going on. And if you can prove that the adult is non-compos mentis, meaning lights are on, engines running, nobody's home, if you can prove that they're not able to make informed decisions, then you could have them declared incompetent and then, file for power of attorney and guardianship and all of that stuff. It's going to cost money, though. Unfortunately, everything in this stupid legal system costs money. But if you are that concerned, you could do that if you think you can get them declared incompetent. And that takes a lot to get them declared incompetent. I mean, they have to go through evaluations and talk to multiple people and, so there's that. Okay, I hope that answered the question. All right, that was question number 1. What was question number 2? Let's see. And the suggestions that you gave me on Sunday, I'm writing down on a list, and I'm going to get to them in the next couple of months, because this one I think would be worthy of a whole show, but like I said, there's not a lot you can do, so I'd rather just do it in a Q&A thing, so I can give you the information, you can act on it if you need to. So, okay. Okay, those are going to do shows on. Hang on. Okay. What to do with suicidal ideations and threats. Quiet male, shows no feelings, pretends to cry without tears. That's a psychopath. Let's just be clear. Never had friends. Also, psychopath. No interest in drinking or drugs or music or fun. Indicates suicide if I leave. No sense of right and wrong, which is antisocial. There's no hitting. No bad words, says life is over if I should go, doesn't see a future even with the kids. Okay, so no sense of right or wrong, that's antisocial. That's a psychopath. That's somebody who doesn't understand right from wrong, okay? Crying without tears, that's also antisocial, sociopath, psychopath. They don't feel that the rules apply to them. They're manipulative, and in this case, the suicidal gestures, suicidal ideation is being used as a manipulation to keep you in the relationship. So you want to get away. You want to get away. If your partner commits suicide, that's on them. That is on them. If they, here's the thing. I've dealt with clients where the partner would threaten suicide, threaten suicide, threaten suicide. This person would freak out and stay. Finally, I got them to contact 911, crisis, whatever. It only took one time for that person to stop with the suicidal ideation because the threat now had consequences for them. So if they are a true narcissist, if they are a true psychopath, they don't want to have to deal with being out of control in a mental institution, because that's where they put you on a 72-hour hold. In Arizona, it's only 24 hours. Don't get me started. This state is so ass backwards. Anyway, so, but it's miserable. You don't want to go to county. Trust me on that one. You don't want to be in the county hospital. It is not a pretty place. And they throw you in with people that are truly delusional, psychotic, full-blown, floridly psychotic. It's not good. Anyway, so you want to take the threats seriously, but you call for help. Okay, if you're telling me you're going to kill yourself, then we need to get you into a psychiatrist. We need to get you to a crisis team. Oh, no. Really? They're using it as a manipulation. They're using it as a threat. Here's the deal. People who are truly interested in ending their life generally don't say a word. That's why it's so shocking. That's why the latest death from who was that person? Ellen DeGeneres, can't think of his name. Anyway, the one this week that committed suicide. That's why it's so shocking, because he seemed happy, everything was great, everything was fine, there was no indication there was problems, and he killed himself. And that's usually the way it goes when somebody is, really suffering. They don't tell people. It's not shared, because if it was shared, people would help, people would do something. So the ones generally, not always, but generally, the ones who make a big show of it, oh, there's no life if you leave me, my life is over, I might as well kill myself, blah, 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 blah. It's a manipulation. They're doing it to scare you, and it's working. So that's your clue, that's your cue to get the hell out. If they make a suicidal ideation, you call crisis. Or you call 911 and request a welfare check. So yeah, absolutely. We do not negotiate with terrorists, period. And using suicide as a threat terrorizes the person who loves them, okay? If they are psychotic, if they are narcissistic, if they're a dark triad, if they're narcissist combined with antisocial, no sense of right or wrong, and they're a control freak and they're losing control, they will use the suicidal thought or gesture in order to terrorize you, to make you not go, because they're afraid of their favorite punching bag leaving. So if you're in a relationship with somebody like that and they keep making those gestures or thoughts when you're about out the door, that's your cue to leave, and that's your cue to call crisis and do a welfare check. Seriously, don't put up with it. It's a manipulation, and it's being used to keep you stuck with them. And especially if you have kids, get the hell out. So there that is. Okay, let's go back to the questions. The thing about tears, like they were crying but there were no tears coming, that to me just says everything I need to know. They can fake it, but it never reaches their eyes. I was watching Signs of a Psychopath on Discovery Channel. I love those shows. Those are so interesting. I can only watch them in small doses because it's too much like work. But there was one where she was, the prosecutor was interviewing the killer. And the killer was making this big show of crying, but there was no snot and there was no tears. And that sealed his doom. And I was like, good job, prosecutor, for studying up on psychology. So, yeah, that was interesting to me. I wonder, okay, this is the other question. I wonder if a narcissist is envying tears or the ability to cry, and if crying makes them even more angry because others can cry and they can't. Yes, you are 110% correct on that one. Anyone, that's a red flag. If someone gets angry because somebody else is crying, you are dealing with a disordered person, either a psychopath or a narcissist, or both. Because a normal person, when somebody cries, that empathy wells up in you and you're like, oh my God, are you okay? What's going on? How can I help? What's the deal? let me help you. With a psychopath or with a narcissist, they get pissed if somebody is crying because they don't feel. They don't have that empathy cog. They don't, they don't look at somebody suffering and feel for them. Sometimes they enjoy it because they're sadists, okay? If they get angry when somebody cries, they're angry not because the person is crying, but because they can't feel, and they know they can't feel, and they're livid. They're angry. How dare you have something I don't? Remember, narcissist, me, I, more my genitals. That's it. That's how they think. Seriously. And if you have something that they don't have, oh, they get livid. Like really angry. So that's a huge, ginormous red flag. Somebody who cries and no tears come out, no snot down their nose, that's a huge red flag. Somebody who gets angry when somebody else cries, that's a huge red flag. Huge red flag. Pay attention to behaviors. A normal person, a healthy person, when somebody is tearing up or crying, they want to comfort. Are you okay? What can I do? What's going on? They're concerned because they know how that feels. Narcissists don't know how that feels. I know. It's bizarre. They really don't know how that feels. And it angers them because they don't have it. Yeah. So that is a huge red flag. That's why they get angry when somebody cries. And here's the other half of that. They don't feel, they don't understand how to feel. They get angry because you feel and they don't. And they're angry because now, well, damn it, I have to do something and I don't know what to do because I don't feel. They don't know how to respond. They don't know how to comfort. They don't know how to console. They don't know, and it pisses them off when they don't know what to do because it makes them feel shame and it makes them feel less than. They're not perfect. It reminds them that they're not perfect. So that's why they get pissed when somebody cries. Number one, they're jealous that you can feel something and they can't. And number two, they don't know what to do in the situation because they don't feel. They don't feel empathy. They don't feel for the other person. And they're afraid that they're going to be exposed. So when somebody is threatened, what do? Anger. Because it pushes people away. And it clouds what the real issue is. And the real issue is they're about to be found out. So there's that. All right, my loves. No show on Sunday. It is Christmas. So you guys have a great Christmas. And no show on the following week because that's New Year's and I'm sleeping in. So I will be doing a video with my new dog, Moana, on the We Need to Have Fun with Chris Codina's channel. So if you want to see my new dog, you can go over there. I'll be hopefully putting that up this week sometime, if I have time. So anyway, that's it. Keep the questions coming in. Keep the suggestions for shows coming in. I know that you guys have suggested some things. There was one on betrayal trauma. I want to talk about that probably in February because I've already got a line of shows going, but I will try to either address it in the Q&A or I will address it in a full-time hour thing. Again, with the elder abuse, there's not much I can tell you other than elder abuse can be physical. They're rough with them, they're bruising them, they're hurting them. Emotional, they're screaming at them, they're telling them they're a burden and they're stupid and this, that, and the other thing. Sexual, obviously, or financial. They're trying to drain their bank accounts. And honestly, with that, Adult Protective Services, get an attorney, see if they're competent. But again, it's limited because if they lie and say, oh, it's not that bad, Adult Protective Services isn't going to do anything. And in order to have somebody declared incompetent, you have to go through a bunch of hoops. Worth it, yes. So there's that. With the crying, yeah, that's a huge red flag. Watch out for that. With the suicidal gestures, that's a manipulation. Don't put up with it. Get out. Call 911. Call crisis. Don't let them keep holding you hostage to this threat. Because if they actually go through with it, that's on them. That is not your fault at all. Period. They are 100% responsible for what they do to or with their own bodies. So, there it is. All right, my loves, I will talk to you next Wednesday. I'll keep doing the questions, but there won't be a show on Sunday. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.